Hey guys, I am John Carrick, and today we are looking at 100 Bullets 31, and this is pretty unique. This is a great comic. Again, Brian Azzarello has done something different. Every time he starts a new character, he starts a new writing style. When he did the Jack story, that was a story told from the perspective of an addict. When he did the Wiley story, that was a story about what happens to a special agent on a bender, on a long vacation, being drunk. Cole Burns, the ice cream man living in the city, trying to have a girlfriend and a minimum wage job without drawing attention to himself. This one is a private investigator, and this is written in the Philip Marlowe, Raymond Chandler, Dashiell Hammett, first-person narration style that works so well for comic books and short stories. Novels too, yes, but novels tend to get more epic. So this is more of a short story or a novella sort of style that you saw turn of the century stories when they were putting serialized fiction into magazines and whatnot. So yeah, and there is a new colorist. I have not been naming the colorists, but I did look back and saw that they had changed. And this one is someone named Grant Gershon, I think. I'm not quite sure. But this is Los Angeles. If you've ever been to Los Angeles on a cloudy, foggy sort of day, this is the 101 freeway. You can't exactly see downtown from right here, and there isn't an on-ramp right here, but there is a cross right here. A big, white, lit up at night cross. And, or this could be another part of the 101 freeway, but really there is. I mean, everyone knows exactly what I'm talking about, the Cahuenga Pass. Valhalla Studios is right about here, and that's Gail Ann Hurd's company, and they make all the action movies. She was married to James Cameron for a while. She's done pretty much all the action movies from Terminator up through the modern stuff. I think she's attached to The Walking Dead. So... And of course, there's other people. Art and John Linson make a bunch of the action movies. They did Yellowstone. The movie Power with Robert De Niro. Or Power? No. What Just Happened with Robert De Niro is based on Art Linson's life. Sort of parallel to, these are like the movie showrunners like Joel Silver or Harvey Weinstein, Bob and Harvey Weinstein, who did Miramax. Steve, I'm trying to remember the guy's name who did New Line Cinema, Steve something. Anyhow, Batman over here. This is all narration. This is Milo. The character's name is Milo, who's had his face reconstructed. Here he is going out to a bar, having a, what is that? Who it is? This is? Yeah, this is him walking into a bar. Apparently there's a girl there as he's pulling up and parking. Not too much with the canted panels in this one. Look at this, 12 panels. And that works just fine. Works just fine. The new colorist, I like the new colorist. This is called The Counterfeit Detective Part 1. Part of the story of what's going on in these, there's a lot of subtext. And one of the things that's happening is there's an MK Ultra subtext plot where these guys have, look, here's a good spot for an ad, right? So I do like the way Vertigo does these 2-page ads, and you don't have a comic on one page and an ad on the other. And when they get it at a good spot, a good break, a good sort of commercial break, it also works really well. When they get it in a bad commercial break, it tends to throw off the pace of the comic more than bad word balloons. And the panel flow in this comic is all perfect. You do get some nested balloons up here in the corner, or docked balloons. John Malin likes to call them docked balloons, like docking a palette in Photoshop. And so, again, all the text is flat, and there's not really that many canted panels in this book. I guess with the last one, with Wiley being drunk all the time and his friends being killed over parrots, we got a lot more canted panels. This is, his eyes were even and straight when the Saxon began to hate. He's in here, he knows the bartender, they're having a conversation. It's just good banter. It doesn't really mean anything. They are talking about whether or not it hurts. You know what? I do want to back up a little bit because this beginning section, there is a bit going on right here where he's talking to the doctor. And the doctor's asking him if he feels anything, how it feels. And he said he feels numb. And the doctor says, you can't feel numb. You can only be numb. You can only be numb. And so Milo takes that as a mantra. And this whole section where he's leaving the doctor's office, he's essentially in the doctor's office here, having a conversation with the doctor, traveling. He's all saying to himself, be numb, be numb, be numb. And this really puts you in the state of mind. Then he's having a conversation with the bartender about how many drinks he's going to have, wants it dry, etc., etc. It's all this hard-boiled detective bit. And it's wonderful. It's really well. Look, this is a comic book. It's not even it's not hard-boiled noir fiction from the 1930s. It's 25 years old now, but still, this is really well done. In terms of, if you guys ever get into like the fictional detective stories, this is, granted, he has a past, he sort of has amnesia. This is a big sort of 1950s, post-World War II. All the plot devices are here. The MK Ultra thing in the background it adds to it, right? He was in some sort of accident. We don't know how it happened. But also, look, he was in an issue a few issues ago, the Joe DiMaggio issue, where Agent Graves bumped into Joe DiMaggio at the hospital, the Santa Monica County Hospital, I think, or Mercy Hospital, whatever this one, Masonic Hospital, I think this one is called. And this guy was having his face done, and Agent Graves brought him an attaché. Now here he is afterwards. He's out in the bar. He's had a couple of drinks. He's heading to the... This is actually, I didn't notice this the first time. He's heading to the restroom, and this guy shoulders him, and he drops his paper. And I had thought it was just some guy, right? And, he's having a hard time because he's on drugs. He's just had a bunch to drink. He's had reconstructive surgery on his face. He's numb. He says he's numb. He goes, he makes a phone call. He has an appointment at 9. He wants to move it up. They say they can't. They're not in the office. Got to wait till 9. All right. He asks him something else. I don't remember. Let me see. Hold on. Oh, yeah. This guy asks him if he has something for him. He's like, of course I do. Why else would I want to see you? We don't know who it is, but he's got some appointment coming up. Now he's heading back out to the bar. And I didn't realize that this is the same guy who bumped into him. He sees him taking a drink, and he kicks the leg of his stool, causing him to spill his drink all down the front of his shirt. So it's actually a bit of revenge. I thought he was just doing it to be mean, which is kind of better, And the talking shit goes back and forth, and he says something funny here too. It's just clever banter. It's the Quentin Tarantino from Pulp Fiction. You spilled my drink, pal. I didn't touch your drink, buddy. And I'm not your pal. I didn't touch your drink. I'm not your pal, buddy. Right? It's that sort of thing between Travolta and Bruce Willis when he's at the bar meeting with Ving Rhames. And Travolta's dressed like a clown, like a dork, in Quentin Tarantino's clothes. Obviously, they're going to get into a fight. He said, you deserve a couple broken ribs to match that face. You're welcome to try. He swings, he dodges, he knocks him out. We get this is kind of a Captain America panel, So, it is what it is. He buys him a drink. The bartender's like, come on, we should stop doing that in here. He's like, all right, well, I'll buy him a drink. And then we get a couple more narration bits. He's talking about how he remembers he's got the attaché in the back of the car. He remembers meeting with Agent Graves. And he thinks Agent Graves is an insurance agent, which he is not. And Agent Graves thinks this is hilarious. He finds that quite humorous. And they have a bit of a back and forth. The whole thing is written, like the dialogue, the patter, it's got a rhythm to it. Brian Azzarello spent some time making sure that this all fit, that it was smooth. It's confusing. One of the hallmarks of his writing is that the characters know what they're talking about, but you don't. But at the same time, you know more than the characters, like in the Wiley bit, right? We know that if someone says Croatoa or some other MK Ultra keyword to Wiley, that it will wake him up and unlock his past memories. If you guys have never seen the David Icke interview with Arizona Wilder, that's what this entire comic is based on. The reptilians who run the world have an MK Ultra program where they can code personalities into someone like Tyler Durden and then make them go do stuff. I hope I'm not leaning into the camera here talking. I'm trying to get my voice into the into the microphone, but I don't want like my nose into the microphone. Let me see if my hand, oh God, I hope I didn't have like my face in the, I'll just zoom in the image so that you don't see my chin. Anyhow, that's what's going on here. He is giving him he's giving him a briefcase with 100 untraceable bullets. Now, the only way anyone would do this is if they had some reason to trust Agent Graves, which no one does, or a big reason to kill the person and not actually care if they went to jail. So like with Joe DiMaggio, he wanted to kill JFK so bad because JFK murdered Marilyn in this world. You know what I mean? And they have, again, some more patter. Santa Monica Masonic Hospital. And these people are just leaving. That guy's been hurt. Whatever. Agent Graves is leaving him the briefcase. We still don't know who's in the briefcase or what it has to do with this guy's life. His name is Milo. That's all we know about him. And look, this works in comics. This is for the first, 10 years of G.I. Joe. That's all anyone knew about Snake Eyes. Larry Hama said he was based on a air cavalry officer named Rob Light, which is a fucking awesome name. That name alone, Rob Light, stealing light. That's a fucking awesome name. And that was the blonde guy when he took off his mask. That was who he was based on. And this guy, Wolverine, no one knew who Wolverine was for 20 or 30 years. Wolverine didn't know who Wolverine was. The amnesia thing works in fiction. It doesn't work in real life, but it works in soap operas, which is all comic books are. Soap operas for guys, soap operas with guns. And so here we have this bit, and we see Joe DiMaggio in the hallway here, right there. This is the encounter that they have. And we see Joe DiMaggio passing by here, and they're about to have their conversation. And here the bullets are in a box. They're not just loose, because loose bullets in a briefcase, I've thought that before. It's like, okay, are they wrapped in cellophane? Because loose bullets in a open box would have just fallen out and be everywhere, all over the inside of the briefcase. So finally they put him in a box. And here we get him driving around. His face is in shadow. He's going somewhere. This is his appointment, right? His 9 p.m. appointment. And he bumps into another guy in the hallway. I recognized his silhouette. Eduardo Risso is so good at characterization that you recognize his character's silhouette. I know that I heard Ethan and Shane and those guys talking about how they used to give themselves the 1 inch test. Can you draw a character 1 inch and through their costume, body posture, hairstyle, can you tell who they are? Just black and white, so no color, And here, obviously, Lono's got that ducktail hairstyle, long hair before it gets really long. That body posture, the ape who doesn't work out. He's not Captain America. He's just a big guy. And so what is he doing there? Whoever this guy has to go meet is probably not having a good night. And of course they're not. That person is dead on arrival. And we could have guessed that. The rain. I was watching the beginning of Glengarry Glen Ross last night. And the first, what is it? I think all that movie is rain. It's constantly raining. And that sets a tone. They have to run across the street from the Chinese restaurant where they have beers and use the public phones to the sales office. and they're selling real estate, and Alec Baldwin comes in there and chastises all of them for not being closers. He makes Jack Lemmon put down the coffee. David Mamet is a great writer. I don't care his ethnicity or his religion. He's good at that. You gotta, some things you got, as some people would say, you've got to peep game. I love the colors on this. Yeah. So, all right, give me a minute. So, yeah, 100 bullets, 31. I can't wait to see what happens, but I don't care about Milo yet. Do you know what I mean? It was interesting the way it was written. This is all flavor, not enough substance. We don't know who his meeting was with. I love that there's not a ton of canted panels. Here's one. But generally, this is a pretty straightforward issue. There's no... And I suppose maybe because it's a single guy against the world sort of storyline, that's why it feels flat. That's why the character feels... And he's just had his face ripped up. He's not a comedian. He is not a comedian. It would be awesome if he were. If he were a little funnier, this would be, it's really, really, really good. But if he were like tick level funny, that's hard. That's what I'm working on right now. While I was drawing today, that's all I could think about is I got to find good jokes and not rip off jokes. I have seen the bar joke. Okay, and then this one back and forth, and hey pal, I'm not your buddy, or I'm not your pal, buddy. Like I hate seeing repeated. The new Acolyte, was it the Acolyte, the new Star Wars show? It begins with 2 stolen lines. Give me a second, excuse me. The new Star Wars show, the Acolyte, that begins with stolen lines, where the girl goes and finds Carrie-Anne Moss at a table and she says, "You and I have unfinished business." And that's right out of Kill Bill. And no one held them to account for it. The opening lines of your new show is that's as bad as a stolen joke for a writer. You can't do that. You shouldn't do that. It's Peter Chung said, sorry for the pause, Peter Chung said, only after you've mastered your craft does an artist really have anything interesting to say. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Today's conflicted card is the 2 of diamonds. That is a diamond. It's a square turned sideways. This is really simple. What do you think post-collapse society would look like? I don't think it would be society. I don't think it would be society. I mean, there's that bit in the game Fallout where you have everyone living in that crater. I think you would have outposts like that. I think it would be feudal. I think post-collapse society would be city-states. It would be immediately city-states and corporations. The megacorps would be able to buy and sell labor, buy and sell goods, buy and sell labor as a commodity, buy and sell goods created with labor. If there was a uniform money, and I suppose with a barter system and transport, gasoline, who knows? Let's just hope it doesn't become cannibal society. I would hate to see America become Africa. That would be awful. To see America become Europe in the past, but to see America and Europe become Africa, which is what some people want, would be horrible. That'd be horrible. Today's episode is brought to you by Legacy of a Mad Scientist and The Legend of Ashley Fox, science fiction fantasy novels and audiobooks for you here on YouTube for a limited time. And the ebooks will always be free on Smashwords. They're $1 on Amazon. I think the Kindle and the Nook, I think there's one of them that you can only get for $1. So you can listen to them for free here on YouTube for a while. for probably a couple of years. It's not going to be anytime soon. We have a comic book in the description, and I think the David Icke Revelations of a Mother Goddess, you guys should check that out. I do believe that there's a link to that in the description. If you're interested in 100 Bullets, you should, look, that is a 3-hour, it starts off with a half an hour of David Icke explaining the city of London, which is a autonomous state like Washington, D.C. inside England. It's its own place, and that's that way for corporate finance laws. And just like kind of like Washington, D.C., how they've incorporated the tax base of the American public. It's a similar thing. And so he does that. He sets that up, but then he has a 2.5-hour interview with a woman named Arizona Wilder, where if you can suspend disbelief. So this is something I've come to understand, right? Sociopaths don't really get fiction because they don't empathize with characters. They can't really put themselves in the character's shoes, as it were. But if you can suspend disbelief for this interview, and maybe you don't have to believe everything this woman says, but believe that she believes it, and that she experienced something, whether it was a drug-induced hallucination or a video played, while she's locked in and she takes it as memory. Whatever you think it is the foundation for an awesome horror movie or an awesome comic book series. It's really pretty good. You should check it out. In regards to everything else that's going on, there's a lot going on. A lot in comic book news. Diamond Distributors is going bankrupt. A very famous writer has been accused of sexual assault of multiple women in a very lewd and lurid manner. And I suppose fame corrupts people, especially if you don't have a good value system at heart, in place. There's a lot of jobs that I could have taken out here in Hollywood. There's a lot of parties I was invited to that I did not attend. The world is a crazy place, and you have to be the one who assigns meaning to your life, or somebody else will. And you don't want that. See you guys tomorrow.